Global goals for noble souls, transforming our world to a better wonder to behold. No poverty, zero hunger, for the elderly or younger. Good health and well-being, good education, empowering women to become sensation. Clean water and sanitation, is it not the right of every nation? Economic growth, inclusive and sustained, through industry, innovation and infrastructure be gained. Reduce inequality for sure. Make cities and human settlements safe and secure. Take urgent actions to combat climate change. Conserve, let below water, land, ensure we do not estrange. Justice for all, oh peaceful and empathetic nations. Let us all partner to achieve these goals and provide much needed salvation.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. A very good morning, good evening, namaste, hola, bonjour, g'day mate, terve, and maraban. This is Namya Joshi, your host for the day. Welcome to episode 118 of the podcast, Each One Teach 10, An Amazing World of STEM. An inspiring venture where we'll be discussing that STEM is a part of every day for every kid. We all will learn together how to build a STEM culture. I'm really excited about today's episode because we're diving into a field that blends technology, storytelling, community, and entrepreneurship all at once. Well, you must have guessed it, the game industry. Finland is especially known globally for its game talent, from the iconic studios to emerging teams. And today's guest has played a major role in shaping that growth, especially in Keski-Suomi, which is Central Finland. He's someone who spent nearly 15 years building bridges across the industry, helping startups grow, and creating environments where creativity and business can thrive side by side. Well, it's my honor to welcome Tuomas Roininen on the podcast today, who is the co-founder and projects director at Expa Game Business Cooperative, game ecosystem project manager at the University of Jyväskylä, and the CEO and co-founder of Ad Inspiration. He's also behind one of the Finland's most unique industry hubs, the Digi Game Center, and has coached startups now valued at nearly 50 million euros. And on top of all of that, he's an active community builder, event organizer, mentor, and of course, someone who is constantly pushing the ecosystem forward. What I really admire about him is how he combines experience, vision, and a genuine passion for helping people succeed, whether he's supporting early stage teams or building infrastructure, on bring the community together at events like XmasJKL. With my gratitude to him, I had the chance to speak at. So, Tuomas, on ilo saada sinut mukaan podcastiin. Tervetuloa.
Thank you very much. This honor to be in part of this. Find it funny and also honored to be here. So happy to answer all kinds of questions. And this is what we need to do. We need to share the knowledge.
Kiitos, absolutely. Totta tuo. Well, starting with my first question for you. You've spent nearly 15 years in the game industry, wearing many hats. Let's start at the beginning. What drew you into this field, and how did those early experiences shape the roles you hold today?
Yeah, it's an interesting question since I'm actually 42 now, so there's some time ago. I got already interested in games when I got my first Nintendo back in the day in the 80s. I was 6 years old and playing with my older sister, and that's I already interested. But there was no like during that time there was no any kind of reason like you could build a career on games, so it didn't hit me that much already. So I did all kinds of stuff, and there wasn't any game industry studies at the time when I was in that age that I was doing my bachelor's and whatnot. But I did my bachelor on media design, so I had this kind of background of project management and graphic designing. So I usually call myself as a corrupted humanistic person because I'm very human oriented but very entrepreneurial. So business oriented project management. So I think I got bitter bite when the mobile started to hit more heavily. So when the iPhone 7, first iPhone came 2007, so I got more interested. Hey, actually, this mobile space is something that I could do. And already during that time, we started to notice like Rovios and Supercells and all this kind of new hits of mobile games burst in the set, and you started to see also this kind of news that hey, there's actually possibility to build a career on games. So I started to do my bachelor thesis and also actually my master thesis in game industry. And already in 2012 we set up the Expa with 12 members. I'm not the only one, so we were eager to push the community already then.
That really sounds interesting, to be honest. And it shows that how everything starts with something that you don't know would lead to something really big. Like you started with just a gaming time with your sister at 6 years old with Nintendo before you could actually know that gaming could turn into a career. And when you later, got into the fields like media design, gave you that creative base, and of course the rise of the mobile games really helped to, understand the industry's potential for you. And of course, that eventually led to founding Expa in 2012, with of course more people joining your journey side by side and getting to in turn, train more people who could take these learnings forward. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that makes me come to our next question for you. So, as you described that journey, it's clear that your early experiences pushed you forward to something bigger than just the individual projects. And you've played a major role in the growth of Keski-Suomi's game ecosystem. So, from your perspective, what makes an ecosystem healthy and successful? And how do you bring developers, studios, and partners together in a way that keeps it moving forward?
Yeah, like this is kind of also interesting point of view that especially in Finland, the Finnish game industry is pretty open and transparent in kind of ways, and the whole game industry in Finland is still kind of young. We have the oldest company is 30 years old, which I would say is kind of young industry, and mostly the whole game industry is born grassroots. So all these demo scenes in the 80s or building the most momentums of making demos and games, and because Finland is so small country, like we have like 5.5 or 5.6 million people overall, so we don't have a domestic market, so you don't actually compete the same things in the market or the well in your own country basically, because there's very rarely you need to make games in Finnish anyways, you can translate them, but overall we see that as like I would say that Finland is like a big family in game industry. There's about 300 companies, less than 5,000 people actually working. So that's also something that we have very active hubs around Finland, which also makes it all more often like IGDA, so International Game Developers Association hubs. Finland is very active on them. Jyväskylä, Expa and Digi Game Center is one of the oldest hubs already. One of the most active and one of the biggest after Helsinki. So after capital, that's a huge push. I think that anything like considering that building a community, a hub is the value in network. I would say that's like sharing the knowledge, not just winnings but also the losing. So when things are going bad, how do you fix them? How do you help them? And actually, and especially in Finland, I would say that if anyone makes any kind of success, everyone should be proud of it or enjoys it, because it basically brings more eyes to the regions that, hey, this company succeed or this team made an awesome game. What else you have in the region? And that should be something that we should always celebrate that. And yeah, Finnish game industry is like 95% mobile, which is like a coincide of Sweden compared to. So there's more PC console side. Of course, we have amazing companies like Remedy, Housemarque, and Colossal Auto, like all these kind of PC oriented companies also. But it's been heavily on mobile side, and it's interesting to see that I feel like that we are building now like a new golden age of indies, because there's more avenues. Of course, the mobile is getting harder and harder to get into. So I think the new teams are looking new ways to be creative and find new avenues.
Of course. And you highlighted how young Finland's game industry feels like, and it's totally like a one big family where active hubs like Jyväskylä, they keep, and of course Helsinki, to keep things moving forward through constant knowledge sharing and supporting each other in both wins and losses, which really helps you to continue with a constant pace. And of course, with every win, you feel like yes, the path is right, and every loss helps you to understand how can we shape that path better. And even like without a large domestic market, the community of course stays strong. So while it's still the mobile leading and PC studio still growing, and of course I totally agree with the point that it's a great moment for the indie developers too to step into the industry and of course shape it in a better way. Yep. Thank you for sharing that. And that I think the center has clearly opened doors for many teams, and you mentoring work has taken that support even further for them. And I feel like when it comes to the sense of community and structure, naturally brings people biggest of the accomplishments. And the Digi and Game Center has become an award-winning hub for game and tech startups. So, what was the original vision behind creating this space, and how was it influenced both local scene and Finland's wider game industry?
Yeah, good question. I think already back in the day, 2012, we had this idea like building like an expo tower, that we have actually some kind of premise that where you can go to. Because I know a lot of the hubs, they just meet up in the schools or restaurants or wherever, where they can do it that freely and like not like a cost effective way. But we already had that time a vision that we want to have this like actual hub, not just a virtual hub, but actual where people meet. So in that sense, it's kind of interesting that we set up TCN Game Center 2020 and just before the pandemic hit. So we wanted to have like a local premise that you could ever walk into and having like a second home or just meet people. And then and if ever anyone goes to our djgamecenter.org website, you can see the video that runs there. It's actually from like a first grand opening day and like a week after the pandemic hit. So we were pushed to do things differently. We did survive kind of nicely, even though we couldn't kind of do that what we're visioning. But we already run by 5 years, and we have seen the effect locally, but also like a nationwide, also globally, in sense that people asking us that how did you do it? Because the interesting moment is that there's no paid work. It's basically voluntary community driven fully, and it costs us about 28,000 a month to run it. And so we basically gather the money from partnerships or do the projects or the renting the premises, but still the rent is lower than, even that we are like 5 minutes from the city center, the rent is lower. And the reasoning is that we want to give like opportunities for the young starts, so they can take a 10 square meters room, kind of inexpensive, and when they grow they can grow away, they don't need to stay there, and but they will stay in the community. So we have a open Slack. I think there's over 500 people in there, not just people that are in DJ games, but already people. So when someone's looking at a project or looking at a job or funding. So we share that knowledge in that group. And I would say locally, it has finally given the kind of view also from the city side and the schools that we have like now building like a same vision all together, which is actually nice that in Central Finland you can study game industry all the way upper second to the doctorate, and the bachelor and the masters, which is starting in next year, is they're fully international. So we are already gathering this kind of international people, and like I said, like for a game industry, you don't need to learn Finnish because we don't have the domestic market, and the whole business is born globally. So we have like an opportunity to do something different. The language changes, and it's a safe space that you can come as you are, part of the premises. And actually, we as a Expa, we are one of the like a silver level, like a whatever pride handlers also in the region. So we do pride nights or game nights, or so we want to emphasize that you can do as and be as creative as you are in the people. But what is good to understand, like what it helps, that when you make a game, you can do a solo game, but mostly it's a project work with a group of people. And I would say that the best games comes out when you have like a diverse group of people making the same kind of game, that they have a strong vision, but they can bring from their culture or their knowledge how they build up things and bring something unique. So I am really strong on this kind of creative believing, and already right from the beginning we have noticed that having this like a place where people can actually gather like physically, not just, of course we do things virtually, but when they see them like face to face, and I usually joke that the coffee maker is the like a modern Neanderthals fire pit where people meet. It's the coffee machine there, but especially Finnish people because heavy drinkers of coffee. But it has the truth. So basically, new people and also the CEOs or the founders of the companies or investors, whoever happen to be in that space, might start a new question or discussion about how things are done, or sharing the knowledge, or even finding a new members like together. Like, hey, I've been thinking of set up a company, but I need a founders, and it's as easy as to just sit down and have coffee and talk to it. And but from the local side, I would say that's effective. And now it's also have shown that the power that when we do things together, like the schools and the city, what we can bring out. And especially now, what we try to do together is that we know that especially Jyväskylä, Central Finland is like a very big university city. So we have the applied sciences and the university. So we have a lot of students, some 20 something, 30 something people around it. And when they graduate, they tend to leave because there's not much properly opportunities at first. But what we try to bring now is that, well, we would help them to set up companies and cultivate that power that they have. So we would kind of have the creme de la creme people staying with us because they want to stay in a community, and they could find jobs or even investors through ours set. And I think this is also something that we are now talking with the like nationwide. So we do collaboration with the other hubs, different parts of Finland. We invite people from different regions to give talks in our like monthly meetups. So that's something that we build on, but also like a global perspective. Like we got questions from different parts of the world. How did we set up and how it's working, and could they do something similar? And we're happy to help. So we do try to help. The point is that you cannot force the ecosystem to happen. It needs to be organically, in sense that there needs to be something that has like a grasp on it. But you need a lot of this kind of people that are willing to put like love in the game, in sense that it probably most not profitable thing to do, but you can see the value when the people and the company starts to rise up, and it builds the ecosystem. And I think that's one of the true facts. Like we have like 3 values on Expa side. So basically co-working, being transparent, and the passion. And it hits very heavily in the game industry and the creative space. It doesn't need to be games. Like you need to have that kind of passion to build on something. And I think when you have that kind of passion, you are more willing to endure longer. And I would say that's the Finnish sisu mentality in sense. So even there's a class walls, you're ready to break them and you're ready to use your time on that. And I think we've been successful, but I'm happy that I haven't been done doing that myself. So you do need people that are willing to do together.
Absolutely, and that really highlights the part of networking that you need to go and pitch your idea to people, tell them about what work you've been doing, and how can you connect with such individuals who can shape your journey and of course help you to get things better. And I think that's the power of not being shy to tell about what you can do and what ideas you have. The more you share, the more you get to know about what perspectives do other people have about your ideas, and that really helps you to get better on where you can improve and also connect with like-minded individuals who then can partner with you and help you bring your ideas to life. And I think the Digi Game Center is really a good hub where people can meet, collaborate, and feel part of a big community where everybody works together and they can, of course, like you said, there's a space that opens door for young people. They can get to understand the job market and of course get funding opportunities that really brings in a global network, helping companies connect and do business beyond the borders. Like you were talking about the global scenario where people from all across the world can be talked, can be we can share with them about how can they also get into such fields and say like with the success stories that as an example that yes if they can do it so can we. Yep, that was really inspirational. Thank you for highlighting that. And that takes me to my next question for you. So you've kind of coached startups across different industries, included some teams that featured like also on the slush value startup lists with a combined valuation of nearly 50 million euros. What challenges do early stage teams usually face, especially game studios, and what advice helps them navigate through those first tough steps that they get?
Yeah, and that listing, I had a background of startup coaching, so I've been doing all kinds of industries, not just games. But I would say if we point out this more in a game industry perspective, I think well, especially now, you need to have a team because it's easier to make things when you are people sharing the load and the stress. Of course, you can do solo development, but I think it's a different kind of path if you do solo projects than having a group team. You do need to have business sense. I think that's the most common kind of problematic way because I think a lot of yeah, it's a passion project. It's a creative process. But if you want to make like a, let's say, revenue-wise successful case, you do need to think about the business in the market and what's the segment, and what you're aiming for. Of course, you can do this kind of hobby projects that takes about 4 years of your life, and you don't care does it make a success or not. But it's a different point of view. I would say it's something that you should do if you want to. But if you're trying to build it as a business, then you really need to have someone in your team that understands it and is the lead, and you need to be like a primus motor and that. But I have always said to teams that are starting that actually the business side belongs to everyone, not just in the one individual in the team, because even you are a programmer, artist, or whoever, but if you are co-founders in the team, you really do need to know the value of the business side of the company and why you're doing it. But I've been teaching the same things with the game industry students that doesn't matter are they in a company or not. Business is something that they do need to understand. It doesn't need to be the thing that they really want to do, but they do need to understand their own value. So if they do freelancing, or if they are hiring, getting a job of, or if they are like a founder of a team, they need to know the value of people and also their own value, how much it costs to do things. Because so you basically need to have a structure and understanding. So I think that's a very, very valid thing. But I think one very strong thing is that you all have the same vision what you're building on. If the team is already kind of being a problematic and fighting already a couple of things that are not that necessary. So if you're not pushing the same vision, I like the image of this kind of setting that you're in a lake and you're in a boat and there's a hole in another side of the boat. Doesn't help that someone points out that there's the hole. You all are in the same boat. So if no one helps and fix the hole, nothing works. So I would say like being the creative person and the team is very vital. Having the same vision that you're already pushing the same thing, because then you get more excited. Like I'm helping this and this is helping that, and that's when the diversity of the team comes. Like different cultural aspects. So it doesn't matter it's a lady or man or whatever between. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you have the same vision and you have willingness to push forward, and I would say one very top level things is learning by your doing, but also learning by your mistakes, but also using your value network. Uh, you don't need to do the same mistakes that everyone else has done. Like, and then understanding like many times, like a kind of having this like a new starters. They usually have this like a pink rose like classes, like in sense that I'm making the best game ever, and everyone will buy it, and then actually not noticing that you're not making the game to yourself, you're making that to someone else, and then it's like, well, who is actually the players and why you're doing this? And I do believe that you should build something that you can be proud of and something that you'll get excited, because if you don't have that, you won't push anything forward. But having the team that actually believes in you, and I think that's the hardest thing to do, is actually that when you're setting like the founders team, if they don't have the same vision or idea why they're doing this, it easily breaks the team, and then it's harder to also endure that when this, because you have to understand you will get more no's than yes. So if the team doesn't have that endurance of um, building the same vision and the power why we're doing this, it's easier to break the team, and it also gives like a, it's harder to stand up again when you are not ready for that. So that's why it's good to use that value in it, talk with the companies and the people that have done the same things. Everyone has started somewhere. They never from the directly from the success. So and because things have started from the demo scene, there's a lot of these stories that are not told. So you should talk to people that what did not go wrong and what did go wrong. So it's how do you manage that and use that, said, hey, I'm doing this. And also like you don't need to invent the wheel again. Like if you're building a startup or founding a company, find something that is unique in sense or already in the segment, because then there's a market, but make it as a twist. So you don't need to be this like at this time everyone is building a lot of things, and all the ideas are kind of done in a sense, but can you do the same idea with the twist, so it's kind of familiar but something new? And I think that attracts also. So kind of multiple avenues, but it comes to the team. Are they ready or not?
Absolutely, and getting the twist into it is really what makes you stand out, because I feel, of course, with AI in the case, people can search up ideas, and then when you have to make your own design, it's kind of easy to get the best ideas. But when you get your own creative side working, I feel that really helps you to get a higher upper edge. And you really shared that the early stage teams often run into the same core challenges, that they might have a strong creative talent, but they forget that every member, no matter the role, needs to at least have some business awareness, which is true. A team works best when people are able to understand their own value, like you rightly said, share the same long-term vision, and they aren't afraid to address issues openly before they become like real barriers within their team itself. And you also stressed on how much progress comes from simply doing the work, staying willing to learn, and learning on the wider network around them for guidance. From my side, I completely relate to the idea of aligning with the vision early, whether it's in education, tech, or game based learning. I feel like, how clarity in purpose keeps every single team grounded when things get tough for them. So, and also getting a start point that we all had a reason why we started. So let's stick to that. And if you can remember the reason to start, it always helps you to come back on progress and start working together. And your point about seeing projects from the users or the players' perspective really connects with, I feel, a lot of people listening to us right now, because the moment you step into the audience's shoes, the work actually becomes clearer and the decisions become sharper. Because then it's not just your vision, you also see what the other person is, expecting from you. So that really helps you to get both visions combined together and create something really good. Yep. Thank you for sharing that. Again, right. So here's a fun question. Jos voisit juoda kahvit minkä tahansa pelihahmon kanssa, kenet valitsisit ja mitä kysyisit häneltä? I hope I said that right. For the, did I?
Yeah. I
Okay.
did understand it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so that means if you could have a coffee with any game character, who would you pick and what would you ask them?
Yeah, this is interesting. I would like to. I have a lot of different kind of characters that I do like. One of my top favorite games since I was a kid was Chrono Trigger, and I would like to have the coffee with the frog. I always forget the name of the character, but he's like this valiant knight that has ups and good downs. Like I would like to have a coffee and like talk about how things are run, because I think he's like even this topic that we were talking, like he has not been able to fulfill his knightly duty, so he tries to make it fix it. So I would like to have a coffee and talk about how and where he gets the power to stand up again.
Ooh, that's a really interesting. I was having a hard time thinking between Mario because that's an emotion, but also I think I'd pick a Minecraft villager. First thing I ask if they're secretly judging us every time they say, hmm. And then I'd ask like why their trade is always so interesting. Like I'm always curious how they decide what's worth an emerald or something. So, but yes, I think I've always felt like there's always some judgment involved in the weird sounds that they keep on creating. So I think that's what I would like to ask to the Minecraft villagers. But the other one would be, of course, I think Mario, because it's a really good game, and I think everybody, no matter what their age, has played that once in their life. So maybe I think these would be the two characters. But yeah, thank you for sharing yours as well. Kilos. So, looking at all these experiences from building communities to guiding startups, you have a wide view of where things are heading. So, where do you see the Finnish game industry going in the next 5 to 10 years? And are there any trends or technologies that you're specifically excited to see?
Yeah, I would say that there's a shift going on. Like getting to the mobile space is tougher and tougher all the time. So I think more and more teams are looking to space from Steam or Epic Game Store, so doing a PC games or console games. Also, what changes, like you used to, if you wanted to make a V, needed a V game or something, I think it cost like 10,000 to get a dev kit, and now it's like 500 or something. So it's also already changes the transition, but I think it's also like it takes away from the pressure of doing the user acquisition and marketing. So UA, so you basically just build a community and more like this kind of, do you like my game or style, and then it's easy to sell, kind of easy. But I think at the moment, like no one could say like no, there's like AI is the thing that's coming now, and of course there's a lot of this saying that AI will take your jobs, but I would still say that I was in a RovioCon, and this last night I had an opportunity to listen what Supercell is doing, like with the AI and what the other big companies are doing, and I think there's a good point of view. Like AI can give you like a superpowers. Like if you still need the creative people to do it and use it, so there's a lot of new avenues. But I would say the shift also is that the younger generation is coming up, which have been more influenced by TikTok and Instagram and all kind of different social medias, or playing Minecraft or Fortnite, and how it has affected their playtime. Like my playing a Mario in the 80s, or playing Chrono Trigger somewhere in the 90s, or something like that. It's affected me, but like considering the people that are youngsters now, and they had a different kind of playing. They almost always they've been playing in the communities and open worlds and with all kinds of people. So it already changes the point of view how you build the games like that we had. And I think that's also the way to find the new avenues. Like, is it the Fortnite building or Roblox, or like finding that kind of specific niches is something that I have noticed that is something there where the indie developer or even solo developer can succeed. And when they find these kind of new avenues that no one hasn't used it much, and but still even using the same space, or and I really believe that now with the AI, the web browser gaming is coming heavier, because actually if you want to build on something uh, uh, more straightforward using the AI, probably it's a browser game that it builds on. So there's actually like there's a new opportunities coming. I think VR is something that goes around. I think it rises like a zombie in the moments. It comes to ups and downs, and everyone's now the VR coming. But I think VR is still very heavily on the industry side, which is good, because I'm truly believing that even like a small team or game company, they could survive doing like game industry or game tech related things while they're building their own game, because many game companies do need to bootstrap if they don't have a investor in the back, or the publisher, or if they don't even want to, so they need to gather money somewhere else. So it's good to use that knowledge of using the game tech or UX or whatever specific things to the making traditional industries or renewable industries. And I think that's something that has kind of also shifted. I think more and more the companies and teams are looking into the different ways of using game tech. Of course, now like gamifying apps like Duolingo, or this educational apps that has more knowledge. So I think that's strong point for Finnish companies is actually we have the knowledge of making good games. Could we use that knowledge to building apps that are flowing? So I think that's just something that's already happening. People are finding new ways and knowledging, and I think that's something that everyone should do. They should try to find new points and new platforms where you could make this success. And of course, it takes time to maintain that, but also it gives everyone like a kind of edge, like a bit of speed run. Like if you test something, it didn't work, could I use that to somewhere else? And that's something that's more like learning by doing and adapting your team to changes, because that is what happens in the game industry. Change is constant. We do not know what is happening in 5 years, but we do know it's AI is pushing heavily. But it's more like where do we use that AI, or how we force it, and that's something that no one can deny, that it won't shape not just game industry but everything that we do. So I would say that do early testings in game jams or whatever, where you can play around. Like I have a 9 and 4-year-old kids, and usually when I talk to students, that if they are a bit scared of touching a software or making a new things, I always tell them that be as a 4-year-old that don't care what happens. They don't care if they break something. It's just want to play, and that takes like the stress away. Just play around, break something, because that's. I do show you games to someone else than your teammates, because usually if you are around of game industry people, they just want to break your game. They don't enjoy playing game. So the point is that like you need to have a regular user that do not know anything about your game or even game making. They are your customers, and they would actually be the best test object of game. Not probably your mom or your friend, because they won't give you the honest feedback. But you need to have people that have never known what you build to know, is it something good or because it excited. And of course, still data is the king. especially on mobile side, but I would say that it's transferring also the PC and console side. So people do need to know what the people are liking, what they're doing, but also like from the industry investment side. So finding new ways to get money to your project. Is it Patreon? Is it Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever community money points that you can do? Because if you have those sections and you understand why you're doing and who you're doing it, you have better opportunities to succeed. And I think that's what Finnish game is doing now. Of course, there's tough times. There are layoffs and whatnot all around the world, not just Finland. But I would say it's also again it shifts away that we have seniors and juniors forming new teams and that can build up new successes. So I would say never like that's something unique in the game industry that because it's constantly changing, even that people are leaving the companies, they can again they form a new company that would have entirely different perspective that they were working for, but they got the knowledge from the company and hey, Robbie or whoever did this and this, I learned from it, and now I want to build my own company with this kind of thing. So I'm very positive about it that we can find new success stories, but not just Finnish teams. I think that's something that we do need to know that we can do remote so many things. So you can find a good founders or workforce all around the world and set up a company together. That, but it needs the vision to do it together.
Absolutely, that's really well said. And the point about like trying again and again is really important because if you fail once, that's okay because it's a part of the progress and it helps you to understand what went wrong and how can you use that knowledge to build a better idea where what went wrong actually helps you to know what can go right if we choose a separate path. And you shared that the next decade in Finland will probably open up even more space for PC and console games, mostly because they're, of course, getting more cheaper to make and easier to build strong communities around. And what I really liked about your idea about AI studios, giving studios a real boost, not taking over, but helping people work smarter while still leaving, the real creative side decision to humans. And why that's vital is because people have that thinking that AI is going to take up their jobs and it's going to be really hard to adapt. However, like just the previous podcast that I had, my guest really mentioned about something that I relate to is that AI gives you the avenues to be creative, not kills your creativity because it's getting all the base work ready for you. And that's when you have to shine. You have to get your creative side out. And that's how you link smart work together with hard work. And what stood out was how you linked this to younger players changing the way games are designed, and even games getting bigger and more interesting, and of course, thanks to the new technology again. And I really like the idea about also getting young players to play your game because there's this thing when you're learning entrepreneurship that if you can pitch your idea to a 5-year-old and he or she understands it, then you're good to go. Similarly, get your game to be played by a 4-year-old, and if he can do it, then that means you've got the right target audience. And of course, like even though like you talked about, VR keep looping in and out of the spotlight, it brings in the new chances for teams to try something different whenever it swings back. But at the end of the day, it's all about bringing up new ideas, trying again and again, and of course, getting the creative side forward and talking about how you can shape the industry with best ideas and better, stronger teams. Kiitos for sharing that. And to wrap it up, I'd love to bring it back to the next generation. What message would you like to share with the young gaming enthusiasts who really want to build a career in this industry, like myself?
Yeah, I would say just keep on doing it. Like keep living the dream in sense that now that you have all the knowledge and power to do things, use that wisely. Use your value network and uh, use the best things that you got in the game. What got you excited and how do you doing it? Because I think that's will keep pushing you much more forward. Because if you already have that kind of passion that I want to make games and what kind of games I want to make, and then finding similar type of people around you that they value you and share the knowledge as you have, and building on that. And I know it might be like tough getting to the market straight away, but I would say like just keep doing games, keep experimenting things, because that's what you need to do. And especially I would say in the Finnish game industry, it's really much valued if you have make games and projects, whatever, because then you actually show your like craftsmanship and the skills. Like it doesn't need to look high rendered picture, because everyone knows that everyone can do it when you have the right tools and time. But it's more about how innovative you are and how you use that your knowledge with your teammates or people to bring new things alive. So I would say be active, network, find your peers, be curious what is out there, get excited about the new tech or the old tech. How do you use that to build new things, and just be active to meet up people and go to events, because this is the best way to just hang around and see what is in field, and what excites you might excite someone else. Like the point is that no one needs to be alone, because there's so much cool stuff, and especially now that all kinds of new techs are coming, new consoles are coming, new games are coming like every day, multiple games, 100 games a day. But still, I would say in overall where it goes to is like you get that passion, you get that creativity, you want to push forward, and just learn by doing, and find the people you want to work with. And that means that you might jump on different companies here and there. You might set up new companies or even teams, and that's part of the learning. So if you want to make a success, you need to sometimes fail. Like if you just make winnings, you will never find the knowledge of what to do. Like I used to be competing in karate for 14 years, and I know that you don't actually learn anything from the winning match. You learn only when you lose, because you have that knowledge that I didn't win and why I didn't win, because you want to use that to success to next time. So that's why I believe on this kind of fail fast mentality, but more I actually believe in this ownership. So own your thing that you're doing it. Ownership in the team, that everyone knows their value and why they're doing it, and that brings the vision like much more forward to everyone. So keep on trimming the like be living on your dream, and don't give up, because idea is to fail. You do need to fail many times to make a success. So keep on pushing.
True, you need to take onus for your own success and for your own failure.
Yeah.
True, kiitos. Tuo on loistava nuovu. Kiitos paljon sen jakemisesta, Tuomas. Olen varma, että kuuntelijamme erityisesti opiskelijat ja nuoret innovaattorit oppivat tästä keskustelusta paljon. I hope that made sense. But for the English audience, Tuomas, thank you for sharing your journey and insights, your work in building communities, supporting studios, and of course shaping Finland's game landscape is really inspiring. So kiitos paljon for agreeing to be a guest on the podcast. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And of course, I believe that the audience has taken in a lot of insights, which of course every budding gaming industry enthusiast will apply in their journeys coming forward.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be in this podcast, and yeah, thank you everyone. And like if you find me anywhere in the events, please to open to come talk to me. I'm happy to talk and share my knowledge, but also learn what you have found, something that I don't know. So thank you for the talk.
Kiitos. And thank you everyone for listening, and remember the spirit of each one teach 10, learning, sharing, and lifting others along the way. See you in the next episode. Till then, each one